Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that whenever and wherever you are when you're hearing this recording, that you are paying attention to your thoughts about your future outcome. When you expect a certain thing to occur, and you expect it and expect it and expect it, and you imagine it's definitely going to happen that way. Well, a lot of times you become a victim of a self-fulfilling prophecy if the thing is negative, or you become a visionary if the thing is positive. So I think we should all be visionaries. Yes? Maybe. We should use our quantum abilities to affect the future outcome in a positive way. Maybe, just maybe, if you expect the best in everything, expect the greatest, best outcome that ends up being the best for everybody involved, then, well, maybe you will end up being that visionary, that positive person, the one person who everyone says, "Ah, she has the best luck. Oh, would you look at him? He's really great, isn't he? He's just, there's something special about him." Because people are going to hear you talking about a thing. Then when the thing comes to pass, because you expected the best possible future, they're going to go, "Wow, he's kind of magical, no? Look at her. Wow, she's impressive. You know, she's just got that certain something." And what people don't realize is that certain something was your being a co-creator with the universe and understanding and recognizing your oneness and jumping into the idea that you can pull those quantum strings. You can do it. Linkura sha tadaba. You connect to your higher self. You say it a second time. You connect to that thing that you want. Linkura sha tadaba. And then you say it a third time, and you link yourself to that thing, and you're pulling the quantum strings so that it will come to you in the fastest possible way. And you and the thing that you wish to have will vibrate together along that quantum string. Linkura sha tadaba. And there you have it. You don't have to say that phrase. I believe I got that from the Lyrans during the channeling, but you can maybe come up with something different. Find something, a word or phrase that means that to you. It's your intention behind a thing that matters more than your words about a thing. Your emotion plays a greater part in manifestation of all the things that you desire. And if your emotions have been sad and negative and very low vibration, that's what you're going to bring to yourself. And even though I know that, we all know that, from time to time we catch ourselves in that headspace, right? So allow yourself to wallow if you need to wallow. Allow yourself to feel the sadness if you need to. Allow yourself to feel the anger. And anger is actually more active than depression, which is passive. Anger is a step up, believe it or not. Don't linger in that too long. You'll burn yourself out energetically. But keep going. Reach for the highest emotion, as Abraham Hicks says. You can do it. You can pull yourself to the higher levels, the higher feeling of a thing. And once you find the thing that you want in the future, you will not be able to stop yourself from thinking about that thing, well, rather constantly, actually. It's always going to be that way. But also, if you fear a thing and you can't stop thinking about the thing you fear, like my friend, my ex-boyfriend from many years ago, 30-something years ago, he was afraid of the cops, and he would pull the cops to him every freaking time. I told you guys, it was hilarious. I did a background check on myself because I wanted my visa here in Ecuador. And the worst thing they could say about me is they listed 2 of my boyfriends from 30 years ago. There was like nothing else. They listed like my first and I think my second husband, and that was it. It was like the worst thing they could come up with. They didn't even list a speeding ticket. Well, 2. Okay, 3. 3 speeding tickets that I got wasn't even listed. But what I found out is that boyfriend that I told you about, he's had run-ins with the cops like pretty regularly, 3 or 4 times a year over the last several years. Which is hilarious. I haven't seen him in 30-something years. And yet, in my background check that I got from this company, it says, beware of her because she's, I guess, known people that are now criminals, right? It's like he gets traffic violation tickets. It's not like he's punching cops out, although I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, after having had 30 years of run-ins with the police, you probably tend to get a little more angry than normal. But see, that's what he keeps drawing to himself because that's what he's afraid of, and he's still afraid of it. I don't have to talk to him for the past 30 years to understand that, looking at his record. It came with mine, which is weird. It was weird that even happened, but the point is, what you fear about, you bring about. What you think about, you bring about. So why put the fear out there when you could think about something positive and beautiful? Be the change you want to see in your world. Don't feel guilty about it either. A lot of people want to shrink from what they want because they feel like, well, I don't have a right to want a 4-bedroom house when I'm the only one going to be living in it. But you know what? If that's what you want and that's what's going to make you happy, don't feel guilty about that. Be happy about it. Bring that into your life. You don't know who's going to fill those other bedrooms or what will fill those other bedrooms. Maybe you'll turn one of the bedrooms into a canning and preservative room, and maybe there's a disaster coming and you're going to feed your whole neighborhood. Or not. Maybe you'll take in a foreign exchange student. The other day I met a woman who said, my husband and I were in New Mexico for most of our marriage and we could not have children. And so we started taking in foreign exchange students, and they would come and live with us for 1 year, and then they go back home to their countries. And they had someone from Germany, someone from France, and someone from Spain. And the person who was from Spain, years later, he got married, and they were part of the wedding. They got to fly to Spain to be part of the wedding. I thought, that's so sweet. They had an extra bedroom. They couldn't have kids. Do you think that it was wrong of them that they didn't shrink their lives down and live in a tiny house because society says that's wasteful? It's already built. And so what? Maybe you want an extra room. Maybe you need extra perspective. And that extra perspective will create a situation where you have greater creativity, which inspires the world. But I know a lot of people in the spiritual community tend to feel like, well, I don't want to leave a carbon footprint and I just can't take more than my fair share. And I'm not asking you to. I'm not asking you to go out and buy 20 houses that are 5 bedrooms and make sure no one lives in them. That's wasteful. But some people, some very wealthy people have 3 or 4 houses around the world and they visit them every year and they spend 3-4 months in each house and they have servants that are employed. And so they're paying the servants year round to keep the maid, the cook, whatever. They're keeping them employed and they have enough money to do that. And they're actually helping people. And some of these houses are homes to like the cook or whatever. But that might sound excessive to you. You don't need to do that. But what I'm saying is you don't have to shrink down and make your dreams smaller because of what society does. And I know that a lot of spiritual people or gurus say you shouldn't do that. But, I don't care who you are, how many books you've written, how many shows you've appeared on. You don't have a right to tell me whether or not I have a right to drive a car or whether I have a right to live in a house that I like. Because it's all a big fat illusion anyway. Now, when I buy a car, do I want it to be electric? Yes, I do. But do you think where I live, are they going to let me plug my car in at night to their wall? I don't know how it works. I don't have a car at all. But, when there's charging stations in Ecuador, I would love to see that happen. Like in Oregon, in Eugene, Oregon. My God, I love that city. If you have an electric vehicle, you get to park directly in front of any of the shops downtown because that's where the free charging station is. They reward you for doing good for the environment. And there's parking lots that you could pay for a couple blocks away if you don't have an electric vehicle. I thought that was great. I parked and I paid and I walked. And that was okay too. That was just, I can't afford an electric vehicle. They cost more money, which isn't that weird. So the rich people got to pay, for a car, feel good about themselves, pat themselves on the back and plug in the car, and I got more exercise. But anyway, when you're pulling those strings, when you're pulling those quantum strings to get whatever it is that you dream about, whatever you want to create in your world. I mean, I know I've seen some of my future. Now, I don't know if it's a future from a different timeline or if it's my future now. And I love it. I love it. I had one future vision. I don't think it's going to come true now. It was several timelines ago. It was several years ago. And my oldest kid was mad because I wanted her to go to a benefit that I was a part of. And we were wealthy, and I was living in a mansion that I purchased myself with in Laguna Beach with money from my books. And she was mad at me. She's like, I don't want to wear this stupid dress. And I'm like, okay, fine. I just thought it would make me happy to see you in a dress, and maybe I was being selfish. And this is my dream I had. It's like crazy. And she's like, okay, fine. Can I wear a tuxedo? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great, actually. I mean, you're a punk rocker. Just because you're playing in a quartet for this event, not a problem. And so, sure. And once I allowed her to do that, she dressed as a woman and wore a dress. And she's like, actually, I like this dress. It's velvet. It's cool. And I thought for sure that dream is dead. My daughter became my son. He started taking the hormones, and recently he just said, no, I want to be a woman again. I'm gender fluid. I consider myself gender fluid. Stopped the hormones. He's like, I like my voice where it's at, and I don't think I want to go through this process anymore. It's a very deeply personal situation, it's very deeply, it's like a personal choice, But I thought that's kind of funny because I'd seen him in his 20s as a woman. I saw her as a woman, and here he wanted to be a he for a while, and then now she's a she again, or at least gender fluid at this point. And I thought, well, maybe it's not too far off then. Maybe it's possible I'm going to get the house in Laguna. I don't know. I don't have a desire to live there now like I used to. I don't know why it changed, but it did. So maybe that's not going to be my thing, That won't be my jam anymore. I really wanted to be there with the artists, but I'm really loving Ecuador. I love Ecuador. I love it here. I love it so much. So that was weird. But then just the other night, I had a dream that I was in Los Angeles County in a mansion that belonged to my fiance. Who I have never met yet. I know I'm going to meet him, and we're going to be in his mansion. And it was dark. We had all the lights off. We had just one little light in the kitchen or something. And we were in the hallway, and we were dancing, and we were drunk, and we were laughing our heads off, absolutely mad in love with each other. And I knew he was my fiance. And I don't know if this was right after he proposed or if this is months after. I don't know. I just woke up from that dream the other day, and I went, wow. Well, I do want that, yes. Let's pull that string. Linkura Sha Tadaba. And I didn't see his face. It was kind of in shadow, but the energy and the feeling of the love and the joy of being together and laughing so hard. We were laughing so hard we fell on the ground. We were laughing so hard together, and we were hugging each other and holding hands, and we kept kind of kissing each other's heads, and I kept kissing him on the cheek. He kissed me on the cheek, and we were just like, he would say something and then I'd say something, and we were literally rolling on the floor, laughing, literally. I woke up from that going, that's the kind of relationship I want. We enjoy each other's company so much that we can't get enough. And we laugh so hard we can't even walk anymore because it's so funny. I mean, that's just me. It's just the kind of person I am. And I'm like, yeah, all right, well, I'll keep focusing on that. That I'm going to expect that outcome. I will expect that miracle in my life. Linkura Sha Tadaba. I want to vibrate with that. And I want to pull that string and bring it closer. So, Linkura Sha Tadaba. Bring it closer, faster. Bring that future to yourself, and don't feel guilty about wanting what you want. There's plenty of people in the world that want that tiny house. There's plenty of people in the world want to live in a tent. And instead of a big, huge swimming pool, they'll put a little baby pool in their yard. Wait for the rain to come. I mean, hey, to each his own, right? It is what it is, people are all different. We're all different, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to live in a double-wide trailer in the middle of the desert, but that's not me. I want to live in the Andes Mountains overlooking maybe part of the rainforest. I want to wake up seeing parrots every day. I want to hear their little voices, even if they wake me up at 5 a.m. I want to hear that. The birds are beautiful. I like that. I like living a simple life, but in a nice house. That's what I want. And that's what I'll get. I know I'm going to get it. I feel it. I'm expecting the miracle, and you should too. All right, so we're going to get into some of the news today. Worldometers.info. They're still reporting on the coronavirus, of course. So the total of people who've ever had it, 77,672, according to official statistics. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people are dying, I think, in China of this that were not tested, and we don't know if their bodies are being counted when they're being picked up. I think it was Vice News or something the other day I saw. Maybe it was Wages World. I mean, he had a video, and it was just people are dragging the bodies out, putting them outside of their buildings, and it's just a bunch of people, 10, 12 people just lined up on the street, covered in sheets. There was a rumor that they were dragging bodies out by the thousands every day and burning them in a field. That is fake news. It's a false rumor. I looked at some investigative journalists who have looked into that, and they said, no, absolutely not. It's not real. But it could be possible that there's hundreds of thousands of people with it. They just didn't report it. They didn't go to the doctor. They're taking their herbs. They're eating their or drinking their lemon and honey tea, and they're probably eating their garlic or whatnot. But when you look at the other statistics on this, now, when I started reporting about this, I think it was 19% of the people that get it die. And they were expecting that number to rise because some of the people that had died early on were just like walking down the street. They started to cough. They froze up. Their body got stiff. They fell on their face, broke their face, and they were dead. That was it. It was really scary. But like I said, what I've been saying all along is I think there's a secondary factor that makes the people in that particular part of China die because of something that's happening in that part of China. Nice ambulance background here. I didn't turn that on. That's outside. Speaking of emergencies, and God bless that person. I hope they're okay. But, it comes up with in the news it came up that they had sulfur dioxide in the air. And, yeah, that can kill the disease. It also can kill humans. Breathe that in long enough. But now tonight, what we discovered is there's 20,895 people have recovered from the virus, while 2,360 people have died from the virus. And that brings the death toll to 10% of all cases which have had an outcome. So it's almost halved from what I originally was reporting. 90% of the people are recovering. They're being discharged from the hospital and sent home. They're fine. Out of the active cases, 22% are in critical condition or are serious. 78% are in mild condition. But I think that 12% of those people will recover, even the serious and critical ones. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. I think just keep sending love and light because it's working. Keep sending love and light to people. So there have been several deaths in other countries in the past week, other than China now. 2 people on the Diamond Princess have died. 634 cases now on the Diamond Princess. Ooh, that's going to be a big class action lawsuit. Those 2 people that died, I know their families are going to be suing. Absolutely. 17 people have recovered and 27 on the Diamond Princess are in serious and critical condition. They should have just given the money back because the lawsuit will cost them more money than the money they forced the people to lose if they didn't go on the cruise. And I'm sure they're now looking back on this going, well, being quarantined on a cruise ship, not the best vacation. Let's rethink that one. What I don't like seeing, however, even though I do like seeing that only 10% are dying, would like to get that number down, obviously, but what I don't like to see and what I am really sickened by is the racism against Chinese people. And the absolute fear against people who have traveled to China and were evacuated from China and live now in the places where they're from. In the Ukraine, there was some kind of a leak about people who were taken home, brought back to the Ukraine after having been in China. And the vans with these people, when they left the airport, were attacked by riotous protesters. And I think that's wrong. When only 10% of the people have died from it, why are they getting all up in arms? It's no different, really, than the common cold, a regular flu. You know, coronavirus is the common cold. It's just the latest strain of it. That's all. It's a nasty one, but chances are you're going to survive it. So I'm really upset. I guess Uber drivers and taxi drivers, if they hear someone's last name and it sounds a little bit Chinese, they're refusing to pick the people up. That's wrong. That's just sick to me. Straight up blatant racism. Just because someone has a last name that sounds Chinese or Asian at all. It doesn't mean they've been to China. It doesn't mean they're from Wuhan province. Doesn't mean they have the virus, and doesn't mean you're going to get sick. And even if all that stuff is true and you do get sick, you have a 90% shot at recovery. So what the hell? I mean, people are overreacting to this now because it has been, it's getting better. It's just getting better. So I don't know. What can we do about it to make it a little bit more positive? Just send love and light to the people in China. They really need the help, the support. I heard a rumor that the Chinese government, they're taking money from the people, all of their money, and they're laundering it literally, and then giving it back to them. Or they say, when this is all over, you'll get your money back. I think that's wrong. I don't think that the virus is being spread by money. It's being spread by people coughing into the air. For the most part, people are quarantined. They're staying home. Self-quarantined people. My friend Nicole sent me an article about this, and I looked into it. I did a search for it and found a different article. I guess with the Wall Street Journal, after you've read like 12 articles, they make you pay $12 a year to read the online print. And I'm just like, okay, because apparently in the last year and a half, I've read 12 articles. So I have to go to another newspaper now, like the New York Times, and read online. But close to around 7,000 people, maybe even 8,000 people in the United States have traveled to China, not necessarily the Wuhan province, but they have reported to, when they got back, in the airport, they were tested immediately. No one had the virus, but up to 8,000 people are self-quarantining for 14 days just to make sure. Because this could be a massive outbreak. If they were infected, it could end up really going the wrong way. But it seems to me that everyone's doing the thing that they could do. They're doing their part to stay put. They don't want to get sick. They don't want other people to get sick. They don't want to cause an epidemic. And everyone is being extremely cautious with this. And so only 10% of the people have died that had it. So don't be afraid of it. If you get a little cold or sickness, it might not be what you have necessarily. Just take good care of yourself, though. Meditate. Pray, sleep right, eat right. Wim Hof method. The cold is your warm friend. If you live in a cold place, maybe don't start with the cold showers until it heats up a little bit where you live. But I don't know, guys. It just, I'm inspired by the fact that a lot less people are dying from it now. I like the fact that it's not spreading around the world as much as we thought it would. And, they do have speculations now that maybe sometime in April, the disease will be combated and everything will be fine. I thought that was kind of cool. The Chinese government says they'll have it contained by April. So, hey, that's something. All right. I want to get into some of this other stuff we've got. Heart Math Institute is sorry, this data is temporarily unavailable. So I keep trying to, for hours now, I've been trying to get that back online and it's just not. So solar wind speed is picked up. It's 488 kilometers per second. Bigger, more than yesterday. They do have a sunspot in the offing, they believe. That right now the sun is still blank. 19 days without a sunspot. But they say a new sunspot is struggling to emerge in the sun's southern hemisphere. But the magnetic polarity of it is ambiguous. They can't even tell if this is old solar cycle 24 or new solar cycle 25. They just don't know. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, or the other part of the solar system, last night a small space rock did hit Earth's atmosphere and exploded over the Caribbean. And the impact did not directly occur over Puerto Rico, but the cameras caught the explosion off to the right. You could check this out on spaceweather.com. So Frankie Lucena said, the sky lit up brightly when the meteor hit. The flash came from the direction of the Dominican Republic. So when they looked at the GO-16 group energy density image, it shows that it did indeed explode over the Dominican Republic. And Lucena says there might be a good chance of finding some meteorites on the land there. So if you're anywhere near there, you might make some money. Go check it out. Thermosphere climate index today is cold. Neutron counts from coming out of Oulu, Finland, very high. Lots of cosmic radiation today. Today we're still getting, I could feel the energy from the sun, from the solar winds. They'll be here in like 4 days again. Right now there are not even any deep coronal holes on the Earth side of the sun, at least. So that's good. No more solar winds, I suppose. We're still getting bombarded, though, by the space radiation. The All Sky Fireball Network reported there were 10 fireballs over the United States. And when we do the news in a little bit, you're going to see that there have been a lot of meteor and fireball activity over other parts of the world as well. So disclosurenews.it, basically it's been calm the last half of the day, but at 10 in the morning their report says the information or data stopped shortly after 3 UTC time, and after about 10 hours we're still in a data missing condition. What is shown in the graph seems to be the beginning of a phase of moderate activity at 3 UTC time, with a sudden peak that reached 37 hertz. Slight movements also occurred for quality and frequency, taking into account all three measurements. The energy of collective consciousness, that's what they're calling it now instead of power or hertz frequency, has reached 62 at 3 UTC. So basically, scientifically, 62 hertz frequency. So there's that. There's a big, huge gap, though, in which they did not have any information in here. With Heart Math, they have no information. So there's that. We are on lesson 239 in A Course in Miracles workbook. You may find the Foundation for Inner Peace at acim.org, or you could just go download an app. Just look up ACIM or A Course in Miracles. So this is the lesson. The glory of my Father is my own. The glory of my Father is my own. Let not the truth about ourselves today be hidden by a false humility. Let us instead be thankful for the gifts our Father gave us. Can we see in those with whom He shares His glory any trace of sin and guilt? And can it be that we are not among them when He loves His Son forever and with perfect constancy, knowing He is as He created Him? We thank you, Father, for the light that shines forever in us, and we honor it because you share it with us. We are one, united in this light, and one with you, at peace with all creation and ourselves. The glory of my Father is my own. Again, that's lesson 239. We're over 2/3 of the way through this, so I thought that was pretty cool. We're getting through it, working through it. All right, so there's something I was going to bring up before I take a break, and now I'm not. I don't know. I can't remember now. Oh, I last night I had really bad acid reflux again. 2 nights in a row. I hadn't had it in months. Like I haven't been taking water pills, diuretics that I normally before I was taking 3 or 4 a day. Haven't had a water pill in, I can't even tell you how long, 3-4 months maybe. Doesn't mean that I'm not gaining water weight gain issue. Sometimes I still am, but it's not as bad as it was before. It wasn't life-threatening anymore anyway. Before it was like life-threatening. I get water weight in my throat or my chest. And I get like that tightness in my chest and felt like I was going to have a heart attack or die or something. Then I take a water pill and I don't know, about an hour later I was fine. And now I'm not getting any of those things that I had before, so I'm not eating like 100% better or something either. It's not even that. I don't know if it was this whole time. I don't know if you guys can hear that little motorcycle outside. I think it's my son coming home. his bicycle with the motor on it, Vici Moto. Seriously, you guys, this is like the best. If you guys want a way to get around and you want to avoid the DMV, you want to avoid the governmental crap and nonsense, and the cops can't really arrest you for riding a bicycle, right? My son could just like be going down the street, and if something looks sketchy, he could just take a turn and follow the path along the river because it's a bicycle. Motorcycle, that's illegal to do that. The bicycles aren't really regulated by the traffic cops. So it's like so cool. He wears a helmet because he souped the thing up so it could go up to 50 miles an hour. He doesn't usually go that fast, but he tried it a couple times. He's like, oh my God, I could go faster than the cars. I'm like, oh my God. Please don't do that. But anyway, I think I just heard him outside. But Carnival is coming up. Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, is coming up. They're gearing up in New Orleans for it. I don't think it happened. I think it's coming up this coming week. So, I watched the rest of the documentary. There's like an hour-long documentary to do with the mummies. I guess this whole thing started 4 years ago, or maybe 3.5 years ago. And it's just coming to light now. It's the rage. It's all the news in Peru. The Ministry of Culture in Peru have not been cooperative at all. They've acted uninterested. They said they saw a photograph of it on the internet, so they're not taking any stock in it because it's a photograph on the internet. Instead of getting in their cars and doing their job and going over there and looking at the mummies in person. And then they say that these people are interfering with Peruvian culture. It's like, really? Are you guys like 1 foot tall reptilian aliens? I didn't know that was your culture. I lived there almost 2 years, and hey, so they're just, it's like you can't have it one way and not the other. You can't just say, well, you're doing wrong because you're interfering with our culture, and then not get involved. And you can't say, well, I saw a picture on the internet and it's just a mutilated body with plaster on it. It's like they're making up all these excuses and making very non-scientific statements. And even when presented, finally, they gave in and they had a conference and they listened to all of the scientific evidence by some of the top labs in the world. And even the Peruvian scientists are like, well, just because this is what your science says doesn't mean I need to trust your science. And it's like, you didn't even read the papers. You didn't even go through the scientific method of this. You didn't even, I think that your nose is out of joint because you weren't involved, right? But because of all the press that it got, even though the official Peruvian governmental scientists were downplaying it and acting like it's not real, or acting like the science isn't real. It's like everybody that has eyes to see can see that these are 3-fingered and 3-toed beings. But they did do a tomography CAT scan, and they went layer by layer, and they were able to tell a lot of things. These beings are nothing like anything on Earth ever found. They've concluded that for sure. They're still wanting to do more testing to test it against Neanderthals and was it Denovian man, something like that. There's still a lot of research that could go on with this to make sure. But this is one of the biggest findings in the history of humanity, and the Nazca lines were created about the time that the biggest one was buried or whatever. They're saying that this mummy is like 1,700 years old. The Nazca lines are like 1,700 years old. Yeah, it hasn't rained in the desert for 1,700 years over there. Their bodies not only had diatomaceous earth, but they were also covered with cadmium chloride, which is something, it's a very long and drawn out process. It's really hard to get to. It's not naturally occurring on Earth, and it will preserve a body. It will mummify a body. So it looks like these little teeny tiny, adorable-ish creatures are highly advanced. And when you look at the astronaut Nazca line, it looks a lot like it. And yes, I checked my monkey tattoo. The back paws only have 3 toes. 3 long toes. And when the front paws, I think, has 4 fingers and one has 6. So, just to follow up from yesterday, it really freaked me out. It gave me a weird... It was a weird energy. I don't know. I was in a weird headspace. I woke up today feeling better, still a little bit off, but I kept noticing things outside that weren't things that normally people see. I did see a black dragon outside today. It was on top of a building several blocks from here, but I could see it pretty clear. I saw it, I'm like, that's weird, what's that black thing over there? And then I saw it push off, and I didn't really see its wings spread. It looked like it pushed off, and it was half the size of It was like half the length of the top of the building. It was an apartment building. And it kind of just jumped off and went behind a tree, and then it disappeared like it was cloaked. So I didn't see its wings, but it looked like a dragon. It was crazy. I was like, what? There was like nothing that could have done that other than what it looked like. As far as I could tell, I mean, if it was a bird, there's no way I could have seen a bird that far away. It just would have been a dot. But it was huge. And then this afternoon, before I started recording, the sky turned infrared red and ultraviolet pink, are the colors. The only way I could describe it. It was is undescribably beautiful sky. Absolutely incredible. Went to take pictures of it, and my camera recorded a blue sky with purple and pink streaks in it. But what I was seeing was the entire sky was this wild peach mixed with ultraviolet red and ultraviolet, like electric pink, or electric red if you want to say it like that. Neon. It was like neon in the upper atmosphere. People around the world have been recording the sky that's glowing bright blue, which is different than a typical blue sky. I think that it's the magnetosphere. I think all this stuff is the magnetosphere. Maybe I'm seeing plasma. Maybe I'm having quantum vision now in a way that I didn't believe possible. But all the clouds were purple, like lavender. And there was like periwinkle blue and lavender, like bright, again, like neon purple. And around the edges of the clouds, and just really beautiful. I mean, really like awe-inspiring, heart-stopping beauty. I'm so sick my camera couldn't pick it up. I mean, I just realized that maybe I'm seeing in a higher vision somehow. Quantum vision, baby, it's coming. If you haven't experienced this yet, if you see something gorgeous in the sky and you take a picture and it's just like a normal blue sky, you're seeing in quantum, I think. At least starting to. I don't know. I can't say definitively, yes, I'm in the fifth dimension. But I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's starting somehow. But my son woke me up today and he surprised me with his version of pierogies. He's never made this before, but he made this roast and he chopped it up and he put it in this bread that tasted like old-fashioned buttermilk biscuits. It was incredible. He rolled that up and he deep fried it in super high oil. So it was like it wasn't even oily. It was just hardly any oil. It was such a high temperature. It was crazy. I was like, whoa. Then, then we ate them and we watched that documentary together. So it was good. It was a good day. I had a good day. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I wonder what I'm going to do on my day off today. And this is sad though, because that means that tomorrow is Sunday and then I have to work the next day. Man, it's gone so fast again. And then I realized, oh my God, it's Friday. I have to work today. Oops. I lost track of time in the opposite direction, so that's always a plus. Oh, well, now I've got 3 whole days. Haven't started the weekend yet. So I had a mind blip. I was going to go out and look for apartments today, and the guy wouldn't answer his phone, and so I paid my rent for 1 more month. But I think in about 2 weeks, we're going to start looking at apartments and start making the arrangements and whatever. Maybe when Mercury goes direct. That's usually what happens. When Mercury goes direct, then you can go ahead and move forward on new plans. Even though we've planned to leave from here, but we weren't serious about it until like yesterday. My son's like, I gotta see new apartments now. And oh my God, it made me appreciate our apartment a lot more though, because we saw a place that was really beautiful. My God, it was so beautiful. It had this massive wooden gate you had to open, and that leads to like a big courtyard, and then off to the side there was like a carport and a place for cars to go. And we walked in, and it was a spiral wooden staircase. It was incredibly beautiful, like a mansion. And then we went to see the apartment. And actually, in the other half of the mansion was this massive restaurant where they have like nightclub type of atmosphere on the weekends. And I'm like, that's really cool, actually. And it's an operating restaurant. I'm like, God, I could just roll out of bed, walk across the hallway, and I'm having my breakfast in the restaurant in my house. It was very cool. But we went to see the apartment, and it was beautiful. Absolutely stunning. $450, but it was 1 bedroom, fully furnished. It was beautiful. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a little awkward because I live with my son. My teenage boy does not want to share a bed with me. You know? We came home, and he's like, Mom, when am I going to have my friends over and go, oh, yeah, that thing you're looking for, well, that not in that drawer. That's my mom's underwear drawer. My underwear drawer is the one below it. You know, it's just too weird. It's just too weird. I'm like, no, we can't. That's just not going to work out. They're like, we have another apartment. You know, you could each have an apartment, $450 each. I'm like, no, I'm trying to save money. My son's like, I'll visit you often. Well, you are a minor child. You will live with me until you turn 18, please. I don't want to miss out on any day with you. But we went to a place that it was like kind of a little bit of a vista, you know, when we're out on the street, and the wind was just incredible. And out like down the hill, there was a park on the side of the river, and there were cows eating grass in the park. Like Jersey cows, like black and white cows, just roaming around free. There were chickens. There were hens with little baby chicks running around free in the park. I'm like, oh my God, look at all my new friends. I saw a dog. I'm like, oh my God, I'd be out there petting all the animals. I'd befriend all the animals. And then they have the workout equipment throughout South America. There's a lot of parks that have this workout equipment. It's free. It's like a gym at the park. Instead of just little things for toddlers to play on, it's literally workout equipment for adults. You don't ever have to go to the gym. You don't have to pay. You know, and you can work out right next to the river, and it works. It's like, you know, I did this with my friends over in Colombia. It was awesome. So I'm like, yeah, I'd love to work out and like be near a workout park. We don't have one near us. They just did a really massive bunch of displays out here. Like gorgeous, I mean, really beautiful playground equipment, but it's for kids. It's not, you know, the workout things. So I'm like, oh yeah. But we walk into this place, and it's like a modern building. I'm like, this is kind of neat. And they let us in the door, and we're like, okay, all right. And so we go inside the door, and now we're inside the garage, and inside the garage is the door opening to a windowless hovel of a gray apartment. It was the most depressing thing. I'm like, if the fumes from the 2 big trucks that they parked there don't kill me, I'd probably kill myself in a month, because it was so depressing and decorated gray and dark and no windows, no sunlight. I'm like, I would not feel inspired there. I couldn't do it. And then I realized the first place didn't have one window, and had a very sheer curtain from the bedroom looking out into the hallway of the restaurant. And I realized all the people could see the people. I wouldn't live there even by myself. And I realized there's no windows in that place either. I'm like, what is up with this guy showing us all the windowless places? I'm like, I need a window, and I need a window that's operational. I need to be able to open the window and allow the fresh air in. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to do some research on that. I'm like, why are there so many hovel apartments? Hovely. I don't want to live in a cave, dude. So anyway, that was like my whole day yesterday. And then today the guy didn't get back to me. I'm like, well, it's just as well. I still have a couple more weeks to look for a place. And if I don't get a place, then I could pay rent again. That'll be all right. My kid hates living here because people keep accusing him, and they keep talking crap about his beachy moto. They get mad when he carries it upstairs, but they get mad when he parks it in. There's like a room downstairs that was disturbing literally no one. they got mad about it and they kicked his bike over and cost me $80. I had to buy a new carburetor. And then when we park it in the parking garage, we're taking a chance that someone will steal it. But people were still complaining about that. So he's like, what the hell? Now I got to carry it back upstairs. You know, now my apartment will smell like gasoline again in the third bedroom. Because that's where he's parking a motorcycle, you know. And it's like a beachy motor, so it's not heavy like a motorcycle. So he could just lift it with his, you know, he could just lift it. But it's like crazy living here. And you know, all the lights one by one are stopping working. And they said it's too expensive to fix, and then they said you can't find these diodes anymore, and they refused to put new lighting fixtures in here. If they can't afford $5 to fix it, they can't afford $50 to put a brand new fixture. So I need a place to live, and so I don't know, I'm looking. If you guys know if anything here in Cuenca, I'm still looking. I know where to go to look, but it's crazy. But I know I have expectations of a positive future outcome, and I think you should too for your life, you know. So whatever it is that you're going through, same thing, same diff, right? Same thing. So all right, I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to get into the news tonight. We only have 2 pages of Watchers News, watchers.news, and so we might have a couple surprises at the end. So stick around. I'll be right back right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
We can make a difference in our own small way.
Just one small change, we can do that today. Our mind's getting bigger while the world's getting smaller.
But saving the earth's becoming a tall order. From the minute you awake from your nightly nap, you can make little changes like turning off the tap
While brushing your teeth in the bathroom.
You can cycle or walk your way to the classroom.
Cut down the fuel you used to get to school.
Pile in, let's cancel.
In your lunchbox, cut down the plastic. See, these things aren't too drastic.
Spread the word, get vocal.
Make it go global.
When buying food,
Stay local.
never mind the dishwasher, do it by hand.
But I hate washing up. Ah, come on, it's grand.
Just one small change in the little things we do. We'll show you how, and now it's up to you. It's our future.
It's our earth.
We need to protect it for what it's worth. It's our future.
It's our earth.
We need to protect it for what it's worth. Since we found out the earth was sick,
We knew we had to do something quick. The earth is our family and our friend.
we need to mend it before it ends.
This is our home, so don't destroy it. Everyone should do their bit. Ice caps melting, seas getting high. Homes will be flooded.
Put
in the sea.
It's like people use this planet as a bin. Pick up your trash, that's where you begin.
Temperature is rising, we are realizing. We must act now, there's no compromising.
Just one small change in the little things we do. We'll show you how, and now it's up to you. It's our future.
It's our Earth.
We need to protect it for what it's worth. It's our future.
It's our Earth.
We need to protect it for what it's worth. If you cut down flowers and trees, you contribute to the mass extinction of the bees.
Think of the creatures that don't have a say. There has to be a better way.
There's no higher being to save the earth. We've got to do something before we get hurt.
At school, we know what to do.
But my question is, do you?
Just one small change in the little things we do.
We'll show you how, and now it's up to you. It's our future.
It's our Earth.
We need to protect it for what it's worth. It's our future.
It's our Earth.
We need to protect it for what it's worth.
Just one small change in the little things we do.
We'll show you how, and now it's up to you. It's our future.
It's our Earth.
We need to protect it for what it's worth. It's our future.
It's our Earth.
We need to protect it for what it's worth.
All right, guys, we're going to get right into it. Jump right in from Watchers.news. We have about 2 pages worth of news, just like last week. When I first started, it was 4 pages of Earth changes news. So I feel like disasters and bad weather tend to bring people together, and it helps us to realize what's important, where our priorities lie. And I feel like there's less Earth changes because people are waking up more. I could be wrong. We'll see in upcoming weeks what happens. But just to start, 4 new volcanoes started to go off. So for the full volcanic report, there's 18 that are active right now. And several are here in Ecuador. We'll get into that in a little bit. But here is our first headline. Severe winter storm hits Norway with heavy snow, and it resulted in 2 fatalities. So basically, lots of snow in Norway. That's not too out of the ordinary, right? But dozens of people were left stranded on closed roads. Lots of travel and power disruptions. And the people that lost their lives, it was due to an avalanche. So let's send some sunshine and love to Norway today. And if you're in Norway, please be careful. Stay away from huge drifts of snow, I guess. Stay away from mountains covered in snow. You don't want to be caught in an avalanche. The Icelandic Met Office, the IMO, is warning residents and tourists to temporarily stop exploring caves in the Eldvorp area and the Reykjanes Peninsula due to deadly gases measured in a cave close to a parking lot. So that's really scary. You know what? Stop exploring caves if you're in Iceland. That is not safe, not at all. California has been returning to drought conditions again. Reservoirs are still at or above the average, but basically it says drought conditions returning to California as major rain and significant mountain snow had not fallen since December of 2019. So that's rare. This is rainy season. Sacramento and San Francisco haven't had a drop of rain in all of February. And this is one of the wettest months of the year usually. So that could make for a bad fire season. So please, let's send rain to California. Even though my kid is there Let's not send a lot of rain. Just imagine they're getting enough, where they need to be. Speaking of rain, though, heavy rains turn roads into raging rivers and trigger deadly landslides in West Java, Indonesia, with continuous heavy rain downpour. In the West Java province, it turned roads into raging rivers, caused the landslides, which at least 4 people now have lost their lives. And there have been flash floods, and it affected, it looks like 115,000 people. So let's just send some sunshine to Indonesia. Severe thunderstorms have battered the Australian state of New South Wales on Tuesday. It disrupted power to 80,000 homes. Lightning hit a whopping 800,000 times. Oh my God. Across the entire state. 74,000 strikes hit Sydney, and it resulted in 1 death. Oh my God, that is crazy. You guys, let's not send any more rain to Australia, I think. What do you think? And what is happening in Australia? Are you guys spiritually wakening up? Are you waking up? Are the people around you? I know several of my listeners are from Australia. At least 2 of you have contacted me from New South Wales, actually. But have you noticed people are spiritually awakening there? I would like to know that. Man, I'm just going to pray for you guys. Just God, please give Australia better weather. No fires, no... The lightning, that's crazy. And you guys are down there not too far from New Zealand, where there's all those lightning strikes in the ocean right before that volcano went off. So I think a lot of this has to do, the electromagnetic stuff, it has to do with the magnetosphere. So I don't know. I'm just sending a lot of love to Australia today. So there was a massive 200 vehicle pileup in Quebec after sudden whiteout conditions. Oh my God. That's terrible. Whiteout conditions means a lot of snow, basically. If you don't live in a snowy area, that might sound strange, but 2 people died and 70 were left injured in this massive 200 vehicle pileup. And according to the authorities, it was a sudden whiteout condition due to blizzard that likely caused the incident. That's crazy. I've been right on the freeway, and when I've seen like 5 or 6 cars just all ram into each other. One person isn't paying attention, and then the other people aren't either. And one of the people I saw, it's like 5 or 6 cars in a row, and the back car was a cop, and he ran into the car ahead of him. In the United States, if you rear end somebody, even if they stop suddenly, and so it's not really your fault, it's still your fault. It doesn't matter. You're never supposed to be driving that close to anybody in case they stop suddenly. And you always have to pay attention so that you could stop suddenly as well. So, yeah, that was crazy. I have seen that, but I can't imagine 200 cars. I remember thinking, gosh, 5 or 6 cars like that in a row, that was like nuts. But I've heard of like 10 cars, 20 cars, but never in my life 200. That's crazy. So I hope that all those people were there. Just send love to all the people in that accident. A cold dome of Arctic high pressure is pushing down across the Rockies and the plains, and it will spread east-southeast over the lower Mississippi Valley to the Ohio Valley and the southeast. So it's going to basically keep temperatures in the Midwest region of the United States well below average. So that's crazy. They're calling it a cold dome of Arctic high pressure. That's nuts. In Seoul, Korea, South Korea, they have had the heaviest snowfall of the season. and it caused flight cancellations and traffic disruption. Wasn't a lot of snow, though. 1.6 inches only. It's not a lot, but maybe for them it is. This is a record for them. But again, 1 inch of snow is not that big of a deal. I mean, I've in California we've gotten 3 feet of snow overnight. So I don't see why. Yeah, I guess it's a big deal because it's a record breaker, though. But that's according to the Korea Meteorological Administration. So that was on Monday. Now, we've already talked about this during the week, about the rare vivid blue auroras seen over Norway's Lofoten Islands. Mark. I'm looking at the name Matthew and I can't even say it. Okay, Matthew Steinberg. He's the one that captured the majestic view. This has gone all over the internet now. I got this from a different website, and here it is on this website. So it's beautiful. Today, I saw the stripes in the sky, and it was blue and then that weird infrared pink off to the side, and then the opposite of where the sun was setting, the sky was like, man, it was crazy, like infrared, ultraviolet pink, ultraviolet red kind of. I mean, it's like weird to say that I'm seeing infrared because you're not supposed to be able to see infrared. I don't know what I was seeing, but my camera would not capture it. But it was absolutely beautiful nonetheless. Okay, let's go on down South America way into Cordoba, Argentina. Intense, severe thunderstorms accompanied by hail and heavy rain and one tornado, at least they say, it might have been more that they don't even know about, struck the province of Cordoba, Argentina on Sunday. The severe weather caused severe floods and damaged roofs and knocked down trees and knocked down power lines, but absolutely no injuries were reported, so thank God for that. We already talked about this one too. Deep space radiation has reached a percentage point away from the space age maximum, that we are having massive cosmic radiation now, guys. Just, I don't even know what to do. I can't say be careful because it's going to come through your house anyway. Gamma rays are not stopped by walls. So, intense bomb cyclone over North Atlantic set to hit Western Europe following Dennis. Just seems to me like we've read these stories before. And another extratropical storm is seen rapidly forming over North Atlantic Ocean, and this was on Tuesday. The system is undergoing a bombogenesis phase and will keep intensifying until it approaches Iceland on Wednesday. So if you're in Iceland, just make sure you have enough food and water and brace yourself. Make sure you have enough heat. And you guys, let's just send love and sunshine to Iceland. Now this is a fun one. Bright fireball was seen over the volcano called Popocatépetl in Mexico. Say that 5 times fast. But the event was recorded by several webcams, even though there were no eyewitness reports. No one was out there at that time. It was 8 o'clock at night, but how crazy is that? Bright fireball over Popocatépetl volcano, Mexico. I bet we could look that up on YouTube and see footage of that from the cameras that caught it. Now, here in Ecuador, the volcano called Tungurahua is one of South America's most prominent volcanoes. It's now showing early warning signs of a potential flank collapse. That's basically the west side of the volcano may completely collapse. And this would lead to a colossal landslide, and it will disrupt the area, all the people in that area. So they're saying the last time that that flank did collapse before, and it was like 3,000 years ago. And since then, it's been building up, so it looks like a nice, natural, normal volcano again, with all the sides intact. And they're thinking it's showing signs that it might possibly collapse again, but then again, it might not. They said, we're not really sure, but we're just kind of keeping an eye out for it. And I guess the people have been warned. They can probably, put together a go bag, bug out kit, whatever. So now let's go over to Africa, to the country of Zimbabwe. Widespread damage after floods hit the Binga district in the northern part of Zimbabwe. This landed them into a situation where they have severe flooding, and 181 homes have been damaged and totally destroyed 37 homes, according to their New Zimbabwe national newspaper on Monday. So let's send sunshine to Zimbabwe as well. All right, that's it. That's the first page. Now we're going to the second page, and then I have other news for you guys. It's pretty cool, actually. I'm going to read you guys a couple fun stories. Since this is the month of love, we have some pretty cool stories that involve love. Okay, so at least 3 dead as heavy rains continue to batter Peru. 300 homes have been damaged in flash floods and landslides. So the torrential rains, and it does happen. It's weird because in Lima it never rains, but in other parts of Peru they get these massive flash floods out of nowhere and landslides, usually in the inland parts and the northern parts of Peru. All right, so in Mississippi, they are under a state of emergency after historic flooding above normal rain. From above normal rain triggers the inundation and the landslides. So they're trying to say 2 things at once. Sorry about that. It's a very awkward headline. Never mind. Let me go into the little blurb about it. Incessant heavy rains continue to drench portions of the southern U.S., and it caused several rivers and dams to overflow. They've had unprecedented flooding in the Mississippi River, and it put, I guess, Mississippi under a state of emergency because the Pearl River has reached the 3rd highest level of, I don't know, I'm not going to go into the article more. If you really want to read that, please go to watchers.news, page 2. But they had landslides in Tennessee and inundation, basically flooding. So just send them sunshine and love as well. So they said that the solar wind parameters in 24 hours ending on the 18th of February were indicative of a slightly enhanced, disturbed interplanetary magnetic field due to weak coronal hole high-speed stream influences. And the total IMF strength was variable but steadily increased. Well, that makes sense as to why yesterday and today we've had some really crazy, just energy coming our way, and the skies have been wildly beautiful with high vibrational colors. And I don't know, I felt weird all day yesterday. Today I felt weird too. Not as much though, I'm a lot better. But okay, so in Syria, the children are freezing to death. Literally. They've had brutal cold ice storms, and the snow has worsened conditions for displaced people in northern Syria. So please send love and a lot of sunshine their way. 80,000 Syrians have been sleeping in the open air after fleeing a government offensive in the country's northern province of Idlib. So you can go donate this through Save the Children organization if you want to donate to help them help prevent these children from dying in these heavy snow conditions. That's really sad. That's crazy. I think that Donald Trump might have had something to do with that. Possibly, I'm not sure in that area or not, but he did screw up a lot of Syrians' lives recently with his stupid policies. Anyway, research voyage reveals formation of Earth's hidden continent called Zealandia. Newly published evidence reveals that Earth's hidden continent of Zealandia, which stretches across 2 million miles or 5 million kilometers squared beneath the Southwest Pacific Ocean, was shaped by 2 tectonic events, and it was ripped away from Australia and Antarctica. I'm going to read this because this looks too good. Zealand. Have you guys ever heard of this? I've heard of Mu. I've heard of Atlantis. I've heard of Lemuria. But Zealandia, that is something I have not heard of. So I'm waiting for this to go. I want to hear the rest of this, don't you? I'm waiting for it to load. All right, here we go. It says, first it was ripped away from Australia and Antarctica and then carved by violent forces that forged the Pacific Ring of Fire. The first scientific drilling expedition to sample in the area was in 1972 between Australia, New Zealand, and New Caledonia. The results suggested tectonic forces stretched and thinned Zealandia's crust, ripping it from the supercontinent Gondwana 85 million years ago. This also resulted in the formation of the Tasman Sea. New samples gathered and tested by lead author and Victoria University of Wellington's Professor Rupert Sutherland and his colleagues during a 9-week Tasman Sea expedition indicate another major factor: Zealandia's subsequent modification during the creation of the Pacific Ring of Fire. He said, "We propose that a subduction rupture event propagated around the whole of the Western Pacific at that time. We suggest the process was similar to a massive, super slow earthquake that resurrected ancient subduction faults that laid dormant for millions of years. This concept of subduction resurrection is a new idea and might help explain a range of different geological observations." So, as a result of the Pacific Ring of Fire, things that were in 3,280 feet of water came up to sea level, then subsided down to be more than 1,000 meters deep again, which is the same as 3,280 feet. The permanent effects include New Caledonia Trough that comes all the way to Taranaki. Sutherland's team, comprised of over 30 scientists from New Zealand, the United States, Italy, Spain, New Caledonia, China, the Netherlands, Germany, Brazil, Japan, the United Kingdom, and South Korea. So that's incredible. The research used a 3,000-ton drill, wow, to create 6 boreholes up to 900 meters, which is 2,953 feet below the ocean floor, from which rock and sediment cores were gathered and studied for clues about the timing and the length of the continent's uplift. They say, we used fossils from 3 of the sites to show northern Zealandia became much shallower and likely had land areas between 50 and 35 million years ago. At the same time, 2 other sites subsided into deeper water, and then the whole region subsided by at least 1 kilometer to its present depth. As a result, the evidence indicated events such as the forging of the Ring of Fire can dramatically alter geography of continents. Well, no shite, Sherlock. And the sedimentary record preserved on Zealandia will help us figure out in more detail how and why it happened and what the consequences were for plants, animals, and regional climate. So we will probably be hearing more about that in upcoming weeks and even years, because now that they've got the core samples, it's going to take them a while to really get into what the results mean. So, all right. A team of Japanese researchers using data from the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array called ALMA, which also means soul in Spanish, by the way, ALMA, discovered that galactic cosmic rays affect the chemical reactions involved in the formation of organic molecules bearing nitrogen on the atmosphere of Saturn's moon Titan. Well, that's pretty cool, actually. I'm not going to get into that article, but if you want to read it, go to watchers.news. Scientists entangle quantum memories over 31 miles or 50 kilometers, bringing super secure quantum internet closer to reality. Ooh, that is crazy. So scientists were able to get 2 quantum memories entangled over 31 miles of fiber optic cables, which is over 40 times the past record, bringing the idea of faster, super secure quantum internet more possible. So, okay, I'm going to maybe read this on my own later, because I'm going to skip over the rest of that. The mysterious dimming of Betelgeuse was captured by the ESO telescope. We've talked about this all week. It looks like it's now brightening up, so it's not dimming so much anymore, which is good. Lost luminosity as well as shape, so it's now back on the mend. I think it might have been a gas, some kind of plasma or something in front of, or dust, particulate matter, kind of in front of the the star, dimming its light. So I hope that it's going to be okay. Now they're talking about, let's see, then there's like an article about that if you want to read it. Also, the next article I'm going to skip over. It's about coronavirus. We've already covered that today. A bright green fireball was seen streaking through the sky over Malaysia and Singapore. So this is like the 3rd or 4th report, right? This week, lots of fireballs. So that was according to the American Meteor Society. You can see pictures of it on the website. Storm Dennis enters history books as the 2nd strongest North Atlantic extratropical cyclone, and it did cause major flooding in the United Kingdom. Hurricane force winds and heavy rain, and this made it, 2nd strongest extratropical cyclone. So, man, let's just send them all a lot of sunshine and a lot of love. There was a series of small explosions and tremor bursts at Semisopochnoi volcano. And that was on the 15th. It was over 7 hours, and it was a significant uptick in activity in Alaska. So I wonder if that one what happened with that? Did it go off? Maybe. So we have to keep an eye on that one now in Alaska. We need to send rain, and I don't know, we need to do something. 239 million people in the sub-Saharan Africa suffer from hunger and malnutrition. This has become a crisis. It is increasing at an alarming rate. People are suffering. And so this is according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. So if you want to read the article, they talk about key targets to combat this. Maybe I'll write them a letter and tell them some of the stuff I know about collecting water from the air, even in the desert, and we figured that out. Let's just send a lot of love to sub-Saharan Africa. 239 million people. That's a lot of people. I don't know if you guys remember, like last year, I was channeling Prime Creator, and he said that about a third of the people will probably leave the planet, and I was feeling the energy coming from Asia as well as Africa, parts of the continent of Africa. So I don't know if we're still on that timeline or not. I'm not sure, but it kind of seems to be in alignment with what I was told. All right, let's move right along. Just send them love and food and money if you can, and if you can't, just send them rain and I don't know, the stupid locusts, man. They just came through so many parts of the world, eating up everything last week. Anyway, let's see. The Arctic sea ice has reached its largest early February ice extent in 11 years. So remember, I think we reported last year that it was receding at an alarming rate, and we're worried about the ocean levels rising, but guess what? We have a drastic recovery in the Arctic sea ice. The recovery is a result of a strong polar vortex. So, all right, maybe not send so much sun to the Arctic, I guess. So that's good. Maybe things are going to repair themselves. This is, is this the last? I think this is the last article of the day, but I think something was added in the beginning because the last one said the 14th and this one says the 15th. So, Tropical Cyclone Francisco landed on the south part of Toamasina in Madagascar. So, Francisco, But it was weakened below tropical cyclone status before, so I guess they're just battening down the hatches, or at least did a week ago. I'm going to go to the next page, but I think that's the end. And ironically, I've got to go to the beginning because I think an article was added while we were reading this, so kind of awkward, right? I want to make sure, though. I think yeah, that was it. So, yeah, that means something was added to the front of this. Let's go see what that article was before we get into the other things. Yes, indeed, they added this. Incessant heavy rains submerge several provinces in northern Argentina. Heavy downpour continues to batter Argentina tonight, affecting several northern provinces, including Chaco, La Rioja, Salta, and Tucumán. More than 100 families have been evacuated due to the widespread flooding. So let's send sunshine to Argentina, the land of really good meat, excellent wine, and tango dancing. I love the tango. All right. That's it for our news. We're going to get into some cool things here, though. According to Ripley's, as in Ripley's, believe it or not, Ripley's.com, they had a little blurb here. While blowing bubbles might be reserved for weddings or childhood play, scientists have taken to determining the best soap for blowing the biggest bubbles. Bubble study has been going on since the 1800s, but modern physicists say polymer strands are the key, and that a mixture of Dawn, guar powder, alcohol, and baking soda is best. I thought that was so strange, right? Just so they're studying this scientifically. And since it's Valentine's Day, we've got a lot of love-related things, including a corny proposal. When Stefan Schwartz of Germany decided to propose, he did not pop the question over a romantic dinner. Instead, he took his tractor out to his field and carved the question, "Willst du mich heiraten?" I guess, I don't know how to say German, but "Will you marry me?" And he did this into the corn growing on his farm. Then he had his girlfriend fly a drone over to see what he had made, and if she said yes. By chance, Google Maps happened to snap a photo of his corny proposal, and now this can be seen by lovers across the world. Aww. Mount Valentine's. At 104 years old, William White of Stockton, California, proves he's still popular with the ladies, receiving over 70,000 Valentine cards this year. The World War II Marine Corps veteran never expected such a huge response when he went to social media to ask for people to send him Valentines. He's an avid scrapbooker. He says the mountain of well wishes will keep him busy for quite a while. Now we go to a story called The Tree of Love. In 1890, a pair of secret lovers left their letters in the knot of an old oak tree. The girl's father did not approve of the romance, but thanks to the oak, they were able to communicate. Eventually, the father gave in, and the pair were married under the tree. Now, over 100 years later, the tree is famous and has acted as a letterbox that has started countless romances. While it might not be the Windy City, Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe in California, experienced a wind gust stronger than any other recorded in history this week. Waves on the lake were topping 5 feet as the frigid winds of a storm whipped across the lake. A gust of 209 miles per hour broke the previous all-time high recorded just south of Lake Tahoe by nearly 10 miles per hour. That's crazy, you guys. I've spent a lot of time there. I love it there. That's really nuts. Okay, now we go to news.sky.com, otherwise known as Sky News, and this one's very strange. The insurance company called Aviva had to apologize after emailing thousands of customers and mistakenly calling them Michael. The insurance company said it was caused by a temporary technical error in its mailing template. They said they basically wanted to reassure recipients by saying that the blanket use of Michael was the only error in their email. So there was no issue with personal data, the remainder of the email, and the rest of the content was correct. A couple of people joked on social media, and they said they were both named Michael. They said, I really don't understand the problem. Another one says, well, I can't even get some people to call me Michael instead of Mike, so it was okay by him too, I guess. All right. This one, I love this one. A fox causes havoc after breaking into Parliament. So, yeah, this is really awesome. You could go see a picture of this fox sneaking through Parliament. I'm sure he's singing a song. Do, 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 do. So, a cunning fox has managed to break into Parliament and evade capture from the authorities. The mammal was spotted climbing an escalator into the main building where the MP's offices are. I think he just doesn't like Brexit. What do you guys think? It was spotted by staff wandering round Portcullis House, having outfoxed police and security guards, and made it as far as the cafe and then on up to the 4th floor. This is cute. It's like shows a picture of it going into the cafe. They're like, whoa, there's a fox. A message on conservative MP Julia Lopez's Twitter account read, Team Lopez just leaving Westminster office for the night and see a fox climbing escalator into Portcullis House. We have seen some strange things in Parliament since 2017, but this tops it. And Labor MP Carl Turner managed to get a snap of the wily creature sneaking past a high visibility clad police officer. This little fella must know that Boris Johnson is planning to let rip with the filthy fox hunting, he boasted. Yeah, maybe that's what he wanted to get. Maybe that's why he's there. Droppings. It gets better, guys. Droppings were also spotted after the fox's political adventure. So apparently there was a fox running around Portcullis House atrium about a half hour ago. And now I've just found this outside my office 2 floors up. #Fox on the Run, Labour MP Kerry McCarthy tweeted. The SNP's Alison Thewlis was more practical, commenting, if the fox is willing to eat the mice and rats in Parliament, that might be actually a useful development. So footage later on showed the fox being removed from a building in a blue box before being released onto the pavement near the River Tom. Was that how you say it, Tom? I always said Thames, Thames. But crazy. I like it. That's funny. Now we're going to go back to, we have 3 more romantic stories and then I'm going to stop for the night. But this one was really crazy. A woman has been reunited with a mixtape she lost on holiday after it washed up on a beach 25 years later, 1,200 miles from where she last saw it. Okay, so it's love of music, okay, not a romantic one. Stella Weddell was 12 years old when she took the tape to listen to her favorite songs on her Walkman while in Costa Brava and Mallorca, I think it's Mallorca, I'm sorry, in 1993. The cassette featured hits by artists such as the Pet Shop Boys, Bob Marley, and Shaggy, and it went missing on her trip. But during a holiday to Stockholm, Sweden last year, she was absolutely stunned to spot the mixtape, along with a list of 20 songs that she recorded on it, on display at a photography exhibition. It had washed up on a beach in Fuerteventura in 2017 and was recovered by UK artist Mandy Barker. Barker sent the tape to a professional audio restorer who managed to listen to all of the tracks, and it was included in her touring exhibition called Sea of Art Facts, and RT Facts, like ARTEFAC. I thought that was clever, RT Facts. When I was reading the track list, it seemed very familiar to me, Ms. Weddell said. So I took a picture of it and compared it with the original CD from 1993, which I still have. Well, see how practical is that? She must be a Virgo. And it was exactly the same track list, but starting with track 3. I remember that I did not like the first 2 songs on the CD because I felt they were too old, so I wouldn't have included them when I recorded the mixtape age 12. So, okay, now I'm waiting for my hold on. I was having problems making the scrolly thing work. Okay. I have always had an association with the Jungle Book song, and this was always the 3rd track. I always made tapes from my CDs at this time to listen to them with my Walkman. Of course, when you're 12, that's what everyone does, right? Almost. Anyway, she says, especially for the holidays, to think that a tape I could have lost more than 20 years ago had been found was incredible. Miss Weddell, who lives in Berlin, had been on holiday in the Costa Brava resort of Empuria Brava and on the island of Mallorca, again, I don't know, when she lost the tape. It washed up on the beach in Playa de Barlovento de Jandia in Fuerteventura in 2017, collected by Barker. who has been examining the issue of plastic pollution in the oceans for around a decade. She initially doubted it would play, but after drawing it out, she says, quote, on my windowsill for about 18 months. Was able to listen to all the tracks after sending it to the audio restorer and decided to include it in her exhibition. Barker, whose work has been exhibited across the world, said even after getting the tape to play, it was then an astounding chance for Stella to walk into my exhibition and recognize her tape. She said she was shocked to find it, and when I read her email, I couldn't believe it either. It was shock all around. The songs at the start were damaged, but further in the songs were as clear as they would be today. It shows you how long plastic can exist in the sea, she added. The tape will continue touring as part of Barker's exhibition, but will be returned to Ms. Weddell afterwards. Now, there's a track list here. If you have any curiosity, go to news.sky.com or Sky News, and it has all of the songs. Also includes Soul Asylum and Culture Beat, and of course the Jungle Book Groove by Disney Cast. How cute is that? All right, so we're going to go to one a little bit more related to Valentine's Day, even though it's been passed. This one's pretty good. A man lands a Valentine's date after advertising himself on a billboard. Mark Rofe took the drastic measure of becoming fed up with online dating and seeing all his close friends getting married. Now, you could go look at this on Sky News as well. Has him, it's like a bright red billboard, and in white letters it says single, and then below that it's him laying down all casual like, kind of sitting up halfway, and it says single, date Mark. This could be the sign you've been waiting for. And it says visit datingmark.co.uk. Oh, this is cute. He spent 425 pounds on this billboard. It says a single man has managed to bag himself a Valentine's Day date after spending more than 400 pounds on advertising himself on a billboard. Mark Rofe took the drastic measure because he was fed up with online dating and seeing his close friends get married. The 30-year-old bought the ad space in Manchester and has since had more than 2,000 applications, including one he claims from Maya Jama. Announcing the news on Twitter, he said, it feels odd sharing my love life, but since people keep asking, I do have my first date arranged for Valentine's Day. I thought the best approach would be to break it down and go through the applications bit by bit, but I've only started with the first 100 so far. Mr. Rofe closed the applications after 2,363 people signed up. And it's a really hilarious picture of him sitting on a bench holding a book, and looks like he's reading it. It says, How to Get Women to Like Me. In response, he posted on his website, I've had over 2,000 people apply to go on a date with me from all over the world. I honestly never expected such an incredible response, so thank you. This was never about how many people I could get to apply to date me, So I've decided to close applications because I'm confident that the person for me is among those that have already applied. And I will find you, he says. So if things do not work out tonight, he still has a few more potential Mrs. Rose. All right, this is the last story of the night, and this one is good, guys. This one, it gave me the chills in the middle of a cosmic hot flash. Again, this is from Sky News, news.sky.com. A ring lost in the United States 47 years ago, is found buried in a Finnish forest. The story is wild. An incredible stroke of luck has reunited a woman with a ring given to her by her late husband. Alright, so in 1973, a teenage Deborah McKenna accidentally left her future husband's ring in a department store in the United States town of Brunswick, Maine. Fast forward 47 years and it has been found by a sheet metal worker buried in a Finnish forest. The ring was buried. The sheet metal worker was not buried. Just to make that clear. Ms. McKenna, age 63, lost the ring in Portland when she was a student at Morse High School, the Bangor Daily News reported. The ring, which has engravings identifying the school, belonged to Ms. McKenna's late husband, Sean, who she dated all throughout high school and college. The couple was married for 40 years until Sean died in 2017 after his 6-year battle with cancer. Sean gave Ms. McKenna the ring before he left for college, but she accidentally left it in a department store. She said the ring was largely forgotten until the worker found it buried under 8 inches of soil in Kaarina, which is a small town in southwest Finland. Finnish media reports that Marko Saarinen was using a metal detector when he found the blue-stoned silver ring. Usually my findings are bottle caps or other junk, he said. Oh my God, best quote ever. I want a t-shirt that says that. Mr. Saarinen contacted the Alumni Association, who had no trouble identifying the ring's owner as it bore the 1973 graduation date and the initials SM. Ms. McKenna said she cried when the ring arrived in the mail at her Brunswick home last week. It's very touching in this world of negativity to have decent people step forward and make an effort, she said. There are good people in the world and we need more of them. Ms. McKenna has no idea how the long-lost ring ended up in a Finnish forest. She said Sean had spent some time working in Finland in the early 1990s, but nowhere near the city where the ring was found, and he had not seen the ring in 20 years at that point. Remember, the ring was lost in the 1970s when they're still in the United States. I mean, he was like near his ring and didn't, near-ish or nowhere near, but in the same country as his ring and still didn't know. This is a crazy story. This one gave me like such a weird feeling. Like, we live in the Matrix, you know? That's all I could say. This is so crazy. There's a picture of Ms. McKenna holding the ring and the letter that it came in. If you want to see it, there's a picture of her holding it. You can see the ring up close. It was like a high school class ring, you know. I lost mine, you know, I think it was in storage. You know, I lost it, and I had spent my own money to buy it too. It was such a bummer. But these stories were crazy, right? I mean, I just was happy to share with you guys something other than earth changes tonight. These were weird stories. There's a couple other stories I didn't really want to get into, like a police officer walked off naked into the snow after he lost his job. I don't know, I kind of felt like that one was normal. That one was all over the media this week. It seems normal to me. All right, well, some people hoof at home and he Wim Hofed at home. I don't know. Anyway, well, that's it. That's all she wrote for the week. I hope you've enjoyed this week of shows. It was a little bit different. Had a lot more paranormal and extraterrestrial things than normal, but I like it. I like the strange stuff, the weird news. Just really is one of my favorite things in the whole world. So makes me feel that I'm not alone in all the weirdness that's happened to me. But I wanted to thank you guys for liking, subscribing, following, and sharing my show. And for being a loyal listener. I know that most of you have been listening. A lot of you have contacted me over and over again. I wanted to thank Isabel once more for contacting me today. And we had a conversation about last night's show. And she was so excited. She's like, I've been able to glimpse into the fifth dimension too a little bit. And she said, I think basically that's what was happening. And it's not happening as much right now. I think if I focus on it and meditate a little bit, oh yeah, it is when I look. It's still there. But it's good. And we're all starting to get there, right? We're all going the same way. And I'm so excited. And she said she can't wait to meet her ET brothers and sisters, and neither can I. She says she's jumping up and down for joy, and I concur completely, Isabel. I concur. I just cannot wait to meet them. I want to meet the Lyrans, and they're so sweet and enthusiastic, and I want to meet the Pleiadians. They're so excited to share their knowledge with us, and replicators, and their spaceships, and the Arcturians. I want to meet them. They seem very intense, very intelligent. I love that. I'm excited to meet them all, to be honest. The Andromedans are very sweet, so we'll get there, you guys. I know we're going to get there soon. Anyway, I'll be back on Monday with all unique and original programming, just like always. Today, this weekend, tonight, throughout Monday, this is my weekend now, so I'm going to try to enjoy it and maybe hang out with my kid some while he's still technically a kid. I just have a few more months left, so that's why I'm taking weekends off, as you may know or may not know. If you're a new listener, you might not know that. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, you guys. I really love you. I'm glad we're in this together. We're ascending together. This is a time in which we're all moving into the golden era and the golden age. So remember, just don't sweat the petty stuff, and also don't pet the sweaty stuff. And that's it for now. That's all she wrote. I'm signing off now with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.